I remember about 10 years ago in my life, I was having a conversation with somebody who was super, super close to me. And what ended up in that conversation was a realization of this guy was having a lot of struggles, a lot of mental struggles was going on. And at the time when I was about 15, 16 years old and I observed him in a situation, I kind of looked at him as if like his brain had a bunch of wires wrapped around it. And in that moment, I tried to help him as best as possible, but I was sad because I didn't have the skills at that time to help him navigate his own mind. And I couldn't really do much. It seemed like he was so tangled up in his mind, and it was causing a lot of suffering. Anyways, long story short, that and a bunch of other things caused a massive obsession in me to understand how the mind works, creation, life, the science, the spirituality aspect of things, just to help people feel better, stop suffering, and live better lives. And through this process, I would say I'm one of the happiest people I personally know in my life. I am a 110% optimist, and I would say overall I'm pretty happy with my life. I've gone through a lot of stuff, put myself through a lot of suffering and struggle, yet I'm overall happy. And I'm gonna make a training with you guys today on three mind shifts to be happier. So if you're coming here to watch this training today because maybe you have been struggling, maybe you're in a rut, maybe you're noticing you might have a negative mindset that you want to break, but it's so attached to you, or overall you just want more happiness in your life, right? Maybe you're lacking purpose, whatever it may be. This is going to be for you specifically today, and my intention is just hope that even one of these mind shifts help you become a little bit more happier, because I know for me personally and the clients that I've coached, it has done wonders for my life. All right, guys, so diving in here, three mind shifts to be happier. So the very first one here is 110% optimism. Now, I put 110% today because I had a conversation with this guy who he's a lawyer, and he said in his field there's a lot of unhappy people, even though they had such great success, materialistic success. And he said one thing about him that was different is that he's always been so happy. And one of the reasons is because he's not just 100% optimism, he's got 110% optimism. He's got beyond amount of optimism. And I thought that was so true because I just remember how when I was younger growing up, and especially in high school, I was so insecure and I had quite a negative mindset. Negative mindset is, and I wasn't focused on hope. I was more so always focused on things not going right, things not going my way, things not working out for me, or I was always worried about me. What do people think about me? What's wrong with me? Am I doing things right? How am I being in this world? And I was always so worried about it. And I was just overall just had a negative mindset. And one thing that helped me so much on my journey is realizing that I have the control to change my mind. I can genuinely change my mind. What really sparked all this kind of obsession over this stuff was understanding about the law of attraction and recognizing how I can change my personal reality. I can change my personal experience. I can change my perspective on things. Therefore, I can change my mind. So if I can change my mind, that simple fact of knowing that I can change my mind, why would I let myself live with a negative mindset? Why would I ever do that? And that's where I went down the rabbit hole of creating a positive mind. And I think there's a lot of aspects that go into this, but the benefits of having a positive mindset is that no matter what situation happens, right, you can always make it into a positive experience. And the reason why is because what you'll notice as you work on your mindset and transferring your mindset is that it's never really the situation itself that causes you to be unhappy. It's never really the situation. Like the quote says, is that life is 10% of the situation of what happens to you, and it's 90% of how you look at it, right? It's like that picture of that guy where he's waving at somebody, but over onto the side, it looks like he's giving the middle finger, where he's doing the peace sign, right? So peace sign, but if you look at this angle right there, it looks like I'm giving somebody the finger. So life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of what you make out of it. And the way that you decide to give your life experience the meaning or how you define the situations that happen to you or how you perceive it, a lot of it comes down to what you expect the future to be. Right? When you go through a terrible event, you expect yourself to suffer for a while. When something bad happens to you, you feel like you're going to always be a loser or whatever it may be. So a lot of time is simply just having an overall positive outlook when it comes to the future. So what you can do to work on this is a positive future. And the next thing is remember your personal power. But what I mean by this is that your personal power is this right here is so you want to really remember this is that you have the choice to decide that you're going to either believe in a positive future or you have the choice to decide that your future is going to be negative. That is where your power lies, is being able to be the one who chooses, the one who decides how they're going to look through life, the lens that you're going to look through life. Are you going to look through life through the lens of this is what happened to me growing up and this is why I'm stuck the way I am and life is just the way it is, and you're going to give away all your power? Or you're going to look at this is what happened to me in my life. I've gained all this knowledge, this pain, this skills that I can now turn into something and use to help the world get better. So that's what I mean by power. The next thing is the want to help others. But the want to help others, I find, really grows the more and more that you help yourself. Because the more that you heal and help yourself, the more you'll notice how you want it for everybody else as well. Because you just want everyone else to feel that much better. You don't want other people to suffer. Okay, so always, always trying to come at a standpoint in life of how can I help other people? How can I do this for myself in a way where it's only going to affect everyone else's lives in a positive way? That's always a helpful thing to do when it comes to having a positive mindset and overall better mindset. Now, the next thing, so we got right now is focusing on expecting to have a positive future. Okay. The second thing is remembering that you have the power to put where you want your focus to be. All right, you can focus on the negative and the bad, or you can focus on the good and the positives. So why not decide to look at the good and the positives? Because remember, your beliefs have always supported you. So what makes you think they won't support you in having a positive outlook rather than a negative outlook on life? And here's what I want to really dive into as well when it comes to your personal powers. Remember, 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 you are not the story, you're the author. What I mean by that is that a part of you might be wanting to hold on to this negative story so bad, but you don't get it, or you don't see the world, or you're just whatever it may be, and you might want to sell yourself on this negative story. And I'm telling you, when you do that, it's not going to help you get better. So why not change or look at things differently? Why not just try it, right? Why not? What we always say is keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. And that's another thing we can even write down as well is an open mind. An open mind helps you stay curious, helps you gain more experience, helps you ask more questions. And I notice how one thing in life is the happier I get usually comes from more experience overall in life, which we'll talk about here soon. But overall, the first one is 110% optimism. Having an optimistic view on life, having a positive future, noticing what your personal power is, deciding to focus on the good. Because remember, this is that you can, again, life is never about what's happening to you. You can always turn a painful experience into a positive lesson. Okay. You can always, always do that. So don't get caught up in what happened. Focus on what you're going to do with it, how you're going to decide to look at it. So 110% optimism. Number two is I am the creator of my personal experience. And this goes back to your personal power. Right. And here's what I want to share with this when it comes to overall happiness and adding in some science here. So if you've been studying my stuff, you know, one of the main things that I always, always go over is this kind of this loop, this cycle here. And if you look at, okay, if you're happy or not, usually you'll check in if you're happy or not based off overall how you feel. This is what I call your dominant state. So your dominant state, right? You can have the upswings where you have the happy times, maybe in the morning or in the evenings. Maybe you're at work and you're not so happy. But what is your overall dominant state, right? Finding out what your dominant state is. And typically that will come from your overall emotional state of being. Now we know that emotions are actually the creation, though, of something else, right? You're not just going to, overall, usually you're not just going to have random emotions, right? It's very rare that you would just have random emotions. Usually, these emotions that we feel and our overall feelings are a projection. It's a creation coming from something within. And typically, if you look at how it works, if you ever studied neuroscience or whatever it may be, this is what you recognize is that thought held for over about 7 seconds can create a feeling, can create an emotion because your brain doesn't know if it's experiencing everything in imagination. It just experiences everything now, now. So if you think about it, you imagine it long enough, eventually you can actually genuinely feel it. So your thoughts produce feelings, but also overall is not just the thoughts, but the definitions you put on things, the meaning that you give behind your experiences that then influence how you feel about it. This is all coming from something deeper, which is your core beliefs. And typically, you'll notice anything negative that we feel, most things that we feel that are negative and they don't feel good, or that's scary or just low feeling, you'll notice you'll if you really do some proper self-diagnosis and digging, you'll notice that it always comes from a limiting belief or a fear. Like I've done this so many times with my own clients and myself, and every time it's always come from something that wasn't universally true. It always came from a limiting belief or a fear that was projecting and creating all of this messiness, this sadness, this struggle, this suffering. Okay, so that's the thing to realize is when I say I am the creator of my personal experience, is that, okay, maybe you cannot change your actual literal physical reality, but when you change internally how you look at your reality and experience your reality, you will change your reality. Because, for example, if your brain, your RAS, will filter in and out whatever serves the core belief and whatever serves you personally, your brain, how it's designed, how it's made up. So, like your beliefs, your trauma, your habits, your patterns, all that stuff. So, if you change your inner beliefs, let's say, for example, of you come from a scared lack place and how you feel about the world is that it's all scams and nothing ever works out for you and it's evil and bad, you're never going to want to take risk. You're never going to go for opportunities to change, right? So we kind of put ourselves in this prison, this box, and I'll tell you right now, if you want a guarantee way to become unhappy, is limit yourself. Limit yourself. Give away your power. And this is pushed heavily in society. You know, you're a victim, right? And with a victim being a victim, what we notice is that we number one is the guilty or not sorry, not the guilty feeling. When we are a victim in our lives, number one is we throw away our problems. We put our problems, our situations on other things. We don't take responsibility and ownership. We give away our power. Right? We usually try to blame or justify our situation to stay stuck and suffer. Remember, you don't genuinely want to suffer and struggle. What's projecting and creating is the ego, the current identity, because it wants to stay the same. It doesn't want to change. It doesn't care if you're happy or not. It just wants the program to stay the same. So when we can recognize this, right, and you can really practice really going with this mantra of I am not my thoughts, I am the one observing my thoughts. Okay, I am not my thoughts, I am the one observing my thoughts. Really embodying that because what that will allow you to do is help you realize that you are so much more. You're so much more than just this body and this brain. And I find one of the cheat codes to happiness is really connecting yourself to a higher source or a higher power or just overall life and everything itself. Getting connected again. You know, one of the keys to suffering is the illusion of separation. My personal beliefs is that we are all one. We are all connected. You can look at that through energy, the quantum field, everything's potential, consciousness now. You can look into that, God, religion, whatever serves you best. But the illusion of separation causes a lot of suffering, right? Because then it causes us to want to control and attach to things because we're scared of letting it go and we have all this fear. But once you realize that you are everything here and now, that you are connected to it all, there's nothing to really be scared of, right? You are a part of this whole orchestra. So I am the creator of my personal experience. Okay. If you can't make it that far, at least realizing that you're the observer and not the reactor. You don't want to be the reactor, right? You don't want to live in the animal brain. You want to stay in your power. Observe your life and change. You can, therefore, you can change what it is that you do not prefer. Right? Recognize when you have negative thoughts about yourself or you have negative thoughts about certain situations. Maybe you're watching this training right now and you're noticing that negativity in the back. Recognize that, don't judge it, and face it with curiosity because curiosity kills fear. Curiosity kills fear. Okay. When you feel fear, your brain is putting that out there so we don't uncover because we're scared that what if we uncover is actually true? It's never true. Again, a limiting belief or a fear is always tied into something that's actually never true. That's why it's called limiting, right? It's not true. It holds you back from being who you really are. So that's number two, is I am the creator of my personal experience. And when you can change your core beliefs, you can change overall the thoughts that you have about yourself, which therefore will then change your overall dominant state of being, your emotions. Number three, guys, is fall in love with yourself. Okay. One of the things I think that we push in our culture and society overall is this idea of that you need to go make this person happy. You need to go make these people happy and you need to put yourself on the back burner. You know, moms need to put their kids first and it's selfish to work on yourself. It's selfish to be better. It's selfish to show your wins and shine. That's all BS. Absolutely BS. Okay. Number one, I'm in charge of my happiness. I'm not in charge of anybody else's happiness. That is up to them. That is their own personal power and personal experience. I am not going to weigh my self worth and how good or bad I am based on how somebody else feels. My job is to make sure I'm okay, I'm good, and I'm being my best self. So then I can show up as best as possible for everybody else. Right? Because if I'm not here, or if I don't have the knowledge, or if I don't have the strength, I'm no good for anybody. So, well, you get what I'm saying though. So I think personally is one of the cheat codes to happiness is you got to fall in love with yourself. You got to love yourself so much where you want the absolute best for yourself. You got to set standards in your life where it's like, no, I love you so much, you, that I want the best for you, which means I'm not letting you lower your standards. Okay. I'm not letting you lower your standards. This is what I want for you. I want you to have the health. I want you to have the body. I know that our animal self wants that sugar and we want that dopamine hit, but I love you more than that. I love you so much that I see that you want it, and maybe I'll give it to you here and there, but overall, I would rather eat this food anyways so I can feel better. Okay, so standards. Standards. Number one is be your own best friend. BYOBF. Okay. Now, the reason why is because imagine if you woke up every single day with a partner who absolutely hated you, who tore you apart, who made you feel like crap, your self esteem would go blah. Your confidence would go blah, right? You feel terrible. Most of us live with a person like that, but they're in our own head. Most of us, so many of us, we beat ourselves up. We're so hard on ourselves. We say things to ourselves and come off in ways that we would never do to anybody else, but we do it with ourselves. Why is that okay? That's not okay. Okay, you don't deserve that. Stop doing that to yourself. Remember, it's you and you at the end of the day. When you're on that deathbed and everyone's asleep or everyone's got to go have lunch, you're always with you. It's always you and you. So you need to be your own best friend. I mean it. Like I mean like you literally cannot tolerate yourself to beat yourself up and put yourself down. When I was first building this, I was almost creating two identities. Like I was creating this new self who would love me so much and want to build the confidence and feed this new self. And I had this old self like, you're not good enough. Who do you think you are? You suck. All these feelings and all these thoughts. And I would literally stop myself and say, like, what are you doing? What are you saying? Like, this is not helping me. This is not good for me. I look at negativity and definitely like self negativity as a disease, a illness. I don't want any single thing to do with it. And that goes into the next thing of pour into yourself. Okay, you got to pour into yourself. The more and more that you work on a project, what happens? You love it more, you appreciate it more, you value it more. Every day, a good question to ask yourself is how can I appreciate myself more today? How can I express my true authentic self today? What is something that might be in the way of me being my true authentic self? These are some really good questions that I reflect upon almost every single day. to try to grow myself and become more and more myself. But that's the last thing is pouring into yourself. Invest into yourself, invest into your knowledge, invest into your health and fitness, hang out with good friends who fuel you and who give you a better positive outlook on life and who make you feel better because those friends are out there. Don't settle for less. Don't ever even settle. Always, always going to pursuit of finding more and more of yourself. And I promise you one last bonus is the unknown. Okay, I think one depressing thing about life is when we get in cycles and we do the same thing over and over again, we trap ourselves in a prison and we kind of lose that shine, we lose that excitement, we lose that glow. One of the best ways to keep that glow and excitement in life is stay in the unknown. Okay, the unknown is outside of your comfort zone. Always try new things, challenge yourself, change things up, try to chase after goals, have dreams, chase a mission. Those things there will keep you so much more happier. I can absolutely promise you that. And that's the training for today, guys. I hope you do benefit off this one way or another. If you enjoyed my training today, make sure you please like and subscribe. Comment down below what really hit home the most today. And I'll see you guys on for the next training. Thanks for showing up.